Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something clicked.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things, of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
The other reason that I was anxious about this call is that I once again have no idea what I want to do.
Okay.
And I always feel anxious about, wasting the time, not using it, not making the most of it. And so when I have 1,000 ideas or diametrically competing ideas or just general confusion, I get, oh my God, what am I going to do? I get very...
Yeah. Well,
I get anxious about it.
I get that. At least you have a lot of ideas.
Well, yes, a lot of parts. Which I guess is the same thing as
pretty much
ideas. I guess if I can say it now before our little meditation, and then the meditation might help me sort it out. So there's two kind of buckets, two kind of collections of things. The first one is this family celebration that we've got coming up the end of this week, which I think I've told you about. And and lots of thoughts and lots of feelings about that. I mean, I realised the other day that it's going to be the biggest collection of family ever that we've ever had. We have big family things, but all the people who are going to be there for this have never all been together before.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. It's a frickin' big deal. The event itself is going to be is not going to be very long, probably only be an hour or something. But because people are travelling from so far away, there's going to be lots of people around in the city for, quite a few days.
Yeah.
So there could be lots of sort of
after parties.
Yeah, after parties, before parties,
yep.
All of that stuff. So I'm really anxious about all of that. I'm feeling a little bit better about the event itself, partly because it's going to be short, partly because I've had nothing to do with organising it. I just opted out of that. which was a good idea. It was a really good idea. And, you know, I can sit with Mum, and because she says, you know, I hope everybody enjoys the party because I won't. Because she just feels. So I said, well, you and me both, Mum. We can just sit together and watch everybody else. So that's kind of where my head is at. But the unexpected things that come up and the people, I just know there'll be people coming up to me and wanting to have deep and meaningful and exploratory conversations and stuff that I just, I don't want. Anyway, there's a whole bucket of stuff around that. Lots of different parts, lots of different thoughts. And then in the other bucket, over the last more than a week, actually, probably since the last call, I'm not saying as a result of the last call, just as a time frame, there has been a cavalcade of critics coming in and, you know, giving me a hard time, beating me up about every possible thing. And I started trying to sort them out a little bit and write down, you know, who was here and who was saying what. And one of the biggest ones is the one that tells me that I have to apologise to everybody.
Okay.
Including you, including everybody. Because you could almost find something to apologise for, you know. So there's that, but that's only one of them. There's a whole bunch of them. So those are the two buckets.
Okay.
So I suspect we'll go in one or other direction, but and maybe the one will lead into the other or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just before we move on to the other major critic, because I know there's been this issue. I can't remember in detail, but I do know that I do remember that in the sessions with you, you know, like the whole sadness thing coming up.
Yeah.
And there's a major critic saying that tells me about that and tells me that I don't feel that, generally speaking, in other parts of my life, you know, like I generally speaking not feeling sad or, you know, those things. And this critic is yelling at me, it's a conditioned reflex. It's a fucking IFS conditioned reflex.
Okay.
You talk about IFS and boom, there it is. It's like Pavlov's dogs. It's not real. It's not real. It's, you know. So anyway, that's another major one that's sitting there with me because I suspect it will come up again. And I don't know, James. So you can hear I'm quite confused about things, and need some space and some help to sort it through a bit, I think.
Great. Okay. Ready for that meditation?
Yes, let's see where that gets us.
Okay, how many minutes?
I think just a minute will be fine.
Okay. All right.
Wow. Always goes so fast.
Any more coming up or any direction feel clear to you?
No, not really. I was there's lots of distraction coming in. And diverting my attention to everything else.
Okay. Do you want to acknowledge those and see what they need?
Yeah, I've had I'm not very good at doing solo work. Well, I don't. That sounds a bit judgmental, doesn't it? But yeah, I find it quite difficult, but there was a little bit that I did with this distracting part because it's very good at what it does. And what I realized was in that bit of an interaction that I had was that it really doesn't want to be seen. Like, part of its job is not to be seen. What it does and what it's really good at is remembering and holding on to every idea, every thought, every interesting podcast, every, all the things that have occupied my brain in the last however long. And it holds on to all of those. And its job is to throw them at random at me from kind of off to my left-hand side and behind me. Like, it's not about it being seen. It just dips into its little bag of goodies and go, here, try this one. What about this one? Here's what about this one? And it really doesn't want. The minute I try and sort of turn towards it, it just scuttles away again and throws something else at me. And they often work. Well, they nearly always work, and it will be minutes before I go, oh, shit, I'm thinking about something else. And it does that all the time. Yeah. So I think there's just one main distracting part, and it feels like a lot because it carries all the distracting things with it,
Right.
So it feels like a lot of different ones, but actually it's just one part that knows my brain and my interests and all that so well.
Yeah. Okay. Could try to contact it.
Yeah, I did try. It just kept throwing things at me.
Okay. You mentioned a sensation to your left or something. Is there any other sensations that come along with it?
Not sensations so much as sort of awarenesses or like, it feels insubstantial. It feels very shape-shiftery, like it's not solid. It's kind of like wispy, misty, see-through. Like, I'm aware that it's there, but it doesn't have an outline. It shape-shifts. It's very mobile. That's the main energy of it.
Okay.
It really does not want to be categorized in any way.
Okay.
And it's off to my left, just outside my peripheral vision, off to the left somewhere.
Okay. How do you feel towards it?
Frustrated.
Yes.
I mean, I'm also quite impressed because it does keep a very good note of every thought I've ever had and can retrieve it, in an instant. Well, that's what it feels like. I don't know if that's real or not, but that's what it feels like. I'll find myself thinking about something that I'd forgotten I even thought about a week ago, you know. So it's very good at its job. I'm quite impressed with that. But it is frustrating because it's so... I just cannot pin it down. So it's one of those parts that I feel the effects of rather than feeling it, and that's its intention. Its intention is only to have its effects felt, not to be identified for itself.
And there's frustration around not being able to pin it down.
Yes.
And just get to know it.
Yes.
Is that the main source of the frustration, or is it? I mean, is there also frustration about the content of its messages and its effects, or is it mostly just
It's both. Yeah. No, you're right. It's both. I'm frustrated at what it does, and I'm frustrated at not being able to talk to it about what it does.
Okay. How's that frustration feel? And how do you feel towards the frustrated part?
How does that frustration feel? Well, there's some self-righteousness to it, you know. Some kind of course you feel frustrated. That's, you know, there's deliberate it's not like this diverting part doesn't know that it wants that you want to do it. It you know, it's deliberate. It's being quite So the frustrating part is there's a bit of outrage and self-righteousness and kind of a bit of demanding quality, like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I get it. Especially, you know, I have this kind of idea that ultimately parts do want to be known, and so when we meet a part that doesn't want to be known, that can sometimes frustrate my own process or parts thinking about how to get to know them.
And that had occurred to me too. And as soon as that occurs to me, then one of the critics come in that starts saying, that's because you don't know how to fucking do any of this. You know, I think it's bullshit, you're bullshit, everything's bullshit, you know, look, here's the proof. And then that starts piling in, and then the whole thing just
So there's frustration that you can't pin it down, and then there's kind of, well, if you can't pin it down, that means this is all bullshit.
Yeah. Because parts want to be seen. So, you know.
Right.
And not just that it's bullshit, but that if it isn't bullshit, then I'm doing it wrong. Both things are true at the same time. It's both bullshit and I'm not competent at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a huge incompetent critic that tells me I'm incompetent at everything. Yeah.
About the parts wanting to be seen, I think there are exceptions. So it's a rule of thumb, and it's something that I say often, but there are there are distracting parts, and there are parts that would rather be working in the background. And
I mean, it's not just you that says it either. I mean, that's you know, that's a very common sort of mantra of the in the work wherever you hear it.
Yeah. And I think we're discovering how to do IFS. So you know, it's not a very ancient practice.
No, exactly.
So
we've kind of got a pretty solid outline, but filling in all the details is a work in progress, maybe.
Yeah. Does the critic that says it's bullshit respond at all to any of what we were just talking about? Is it moved at all by that?
Not really.
Okay.
It's very cynical, very skeptical, that part. It's there all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not as, what's the word? It's not as, it's not as adamant as it used to be, but it's not giving up its position. It's not.
I love skeptical parts.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Absolutely. I don't like them initially. They come in and I go, oh, for fuck's sake, you again. But then I go, no. It's really, really useful. Like, yeah. So that skeptical part, I think it knows that that I don't hate it, and that, give me a moment and I'll get through my reactivity and, hear what you've got to say, because usually there's something useful there. So we're kind of at home with each other in terms of how we're not best buddies, but we don't hate each other. And I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I don't want it to go away. I think that would be a I mean, you can't make parts go away anyway, but
how about the one that's the not competent one? Is that kind of coming from the same part, or that's feels different?
No,
okay,
that's different. That's about everything in my life.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Because every time we mention a part, there it is, right there.
Yeah. Except for the distracting one.
Except for the distracting one. The distracting one's quite happy, kind of, when I'm with this kind of jumping around all over the place.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't mind that at all.
Okay. So the one that says you're not competent, can we welcome that one and just see what it needs in order to let us proceed and maybe try to get to that distracting part?
Yeah, the not competent one is telling me about how appallingly I'm going to behave at this family function, and I'm going to screw everything up and say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong people, and it's just going to be... And of course, as soon as we say its name, it's completely front and center now.
Okay. How do you feel towards it?
A little bit scared of it because it's quite often right.
Yeah, it could be right about you saying the wrong thing at the family function, and
yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's giving me this picture of me being way up in the top of my head and my feet not on the ground, like jangled and easily put off balance, and
That's how it sees you?
It's how it's predicting I will be. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's very disconcerting.
And then the scared part is saying, well, yeah, that could be true.
Yeah. And I hate it if it's going to be true. I hate it if that's going to be true.
Can we tune into that and learn what that would be like? What's so hard about that?
About what it's saying being true. Tune into that.
This part that is afraid of those things happening. What's
Yeah. Oh. It all just feels so hopeless. Like it probably is true. It probably will happen. There's another part saying, it won't be the end of the world. You know what this is like. This is how it always goes. There'll be fallout. You'll have to deal with the fallout. That's what life is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that emotion that you're feeling now is about just the pain of what it would mean to get it wrong at the event with people.
Yeah. The inevitability of it, like I'm going to fuck it up.
Yeah. I wonder if you can ask these parts why it's important for them to give you these messages now. Or so often.
They're saying, I think, that they're saying there's no point in trying to the only way that this would be, I can't, what are they saying? There's no point in doing this because you can't predict what is going to happen. And the only way that you could avoid this is to predict what would happen and then work out how to respond. And since you can't predict what's going to happen, you can't work out how to respond. So that approach is non-productive. The best approach is just to say, it's going to happen. You don't know what, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, stop wasting time trying to, because all that will happen is that you'll think you've got it figured out and that this might happen and this is what you'll say if this happens. And then it doesn't. And something else happens and you'll fuck that up. So there's no point in
trying to work it out before.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, totally. You're much better just to go, whatever, it'll happen. We'll figure out afterwards what, we'll deal with the fallout afterwards. Yeah.
So there's a part of you that does want to plan and prepare for every possible scenario.
Yes.
And that one has cost you energy. And now these parts are saying, let it go. Just assume you're going to fuck it up. And
yeah. Just go with the flow and be a fuck up.
Yeah. I can see that polarity. I can see.
Yeah.
And the one
I was just going to say that the part that likes to try and figure out what might happen, that part thinks it's really, really clever. It thinks it's really insightful and really smart at getting inside other people's heads and knowing what they're going to say and what's going to happen. It thinks it's It just thinks it's so, and so many
it's
times.
It's going to have the perfect comeback.
Yes. Or the perfect response, anyway. And so many times in the past, it's been proved wrong because nobody behaved like it told me they were going to.
Right.
So I don't really trust it.
Yeah, I get it. I got those parts too.
Yeah. There's a part that doesn't trust it. So there's just this cacophony of parts, all worried about this bloody event. And in the past, and often, in the past, where this would have led me was the part that could come up with a really, really, really clever, well, what felt like clever, good, unassailable reason for why I shouldn't be there, why I shouldn't go.
Yeah.
That's the part that usually rose to the top of all of that, saying, well, the best idea is just not to fucking be there.
Yeah.
Actually, just a little sidetrack here. I don't do sort of the classic solo work. And I think this is about finding out about other stuff about IFS, because I think other stuff happens that I'm not aware of. I think I might have mentioned this to you before, that sometimes something will just go kaplunk into the middle of my brain. I have no idea where it's come from. I don't have any awareness of the process that led up to it. But it feels like a very IFS thing, some kind of realization or insight. And I think it feels like quite often something's working where I'm not aware of it, and every so often it'll just go, here, think about this.
Kind of reminds me of the distracting part.
Yeah, kind of. But the distracting part comes up in response to something. The distracting part comes up and says, oh, I got to get in here and start throwing things around. This isn't in response to anything. This just sort of suddenly goes, hey, think about this. This is pretty cool.
Cool.
And the thing that came up a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was it's arisen out of this thing, is that I've had this idea that I didn't want to be around my family for these kind of functions, say in the last, I don't know, half dozen, maybe 10 years. But the thought that went plunk into my head out of nowhere was, you didn't go on that family holiday when your daughter was 5. So that's over 30 years ago. And you didn't go to this one, and you didn't go to that one, and you didn't go to this one. I've been doing this for well over 30 years, finding really rational, sensible reasons why I can't do it, why I can't go on major family things.
Yeah.
So that one that I was thinking of, I said my kids went to it because it was a really big deal. It was traveling overseas. It was going to a place that you can't get to normally. Normally people can't go there. It was only because we had another family member. But it was a big deal. And I sent my kids, and I realised the excuse that I use for nearly all of them, because I start off always saying I can't afford it. And that goes nowhere, because the minute I say that, everybody says, oh, we'll pitch in, so that's that gets blown out of the water. So the thing that I always come back to in the end is, I hate travelling. I don't want to travel. I hate travelling. I'm just not prepared to travel. And I have convinced myself and my family of that for over 30 years. I have said, I'm not doing that because I don't like travelling. And that thought plunked into my head and shocked the shit out of me when I realised how long I've been doing this with my family. I have been saying, I do not want to come to these extended family, events or gatherings for a very, very long time.
Yeah. And this time, when there's no out, or that's not what you're doing, then you have these parts saying, okay, backup plan is either figure it all out, all the responses, or this constant reminder that you're gonna screw it up and
just give in and let it happen. Figure it out later. Yeah.
Sounds hard.
Yeah, and that idea that just went blop into my brain. I sort of tried to do some work with it, but once again, I don't quite know. Don't know why I can't do it. But the thoughts, the things that come up around it, these are not bad people. My family are not bad people. Yeah, guess what's arrived?
Sadness. Hello.
Hello. Conditioned reflex. Conditioned reflex.
Yeah, what does that mean? Like,
it means is just you ring the bell and
this is just an IFS thing.
It's just an IFS thing. You're not in control of it. It doesn't mean anything. You're talking to James and someone is paying attention to what's going on in you, and but they're not bad people. They're irritating, and they've all got parts galore.
Sure.
But they're not bad. They're not abusive. They're not mean. I don't know about mean, but we're all mean sometimes, I guess. But you know what I mean? They're
So I know what you mean.
If there's a problem with me attending it, it's obviously with me. I'm the problem. You know what I mean? Even if I'm the problem in that I can't cope with their fucking parts. They're perfectly normal. They're perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Common or garden. Everybody's got them parts.
Yeah. And a lot of these people your parts have been hurt by and had some. There are lots of incidents and historical patterns that you don't want to re-engage.
Yeah, and there are triggers, that are very triggering. Not because they're abusive or, I had a perfectly good childhood, with and perfectly normal sort of, or within normal range relationships in my family. But I don't want to be with them. So where's the problem? It's not them.
Yeah. Well, it's a family system, so it's a problem between. It's a problem among and between.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I'm part of the problem. Oh, I don't know what I'm thinking anymore.
Okay, you want to just take a moment?
Yes, I'm all over the place.
Okay. I have some thoughts I could share, or we could just take a breath if that feels all right. Because yes, the sadness came up, and we have gone from part to part to part, which and I want to take responsibility for that too, of like, that's part of my job is to guide and let's stick with this part, or when is it time to shift? And I like hearing from all of them, and so sometimes that's hard for me to
Yeah. But I do I do trust that your your sense of interest or your attention. I do trust that. Well, I trust that it's not going to be bad. Do you know what I mean? Like I might not understand why we're going, why your attention is shifting here or there, but I do trust that it's not going to screw anything up. You know what I mean? It's just
all right.
So I'm happy to, as long as you don't sort of bugger off somewhere, and leave me with.
Yeah, no. I was thinking about maybe just summarizing some things and just kind of looking back at some of the stuff we have talked about. Something that is drawing my attention happens to be around the sadness and stuff, and I do have some hesitation to go there because sometimes that gets overwhelming. We don't have a perfect record of being able to go to that part without it overwhelming. So everything that I've heard makes sense to me.
Right. Feels like a lot of jumping around to me, like a lot of.
Yeah, I think so. And like the sequence has made sense.
Familiar, like that. Yeah. It feels that's what happens. Like that. Yeah. That's what my insides are like most of the time.
Yeah, and you're aware of it, and you're able to name it, and name each part, basically.
Yeah. I find it much easier to do with you, like when I'm just doing it with myself. It'll take me a long time for me to go, oh fuck yeah,
yeah.
I'll get so caught up and blended, I guess. So it's much easier to do it with you or with someone else. Yeah. But I do eventually get there not get there, but eventually I am able to name things, but it does take a while sometimes.
And that might be useful also, just, if that's all we did was you share a bunch of parts and we hear 2 minutes from each of them. Sometimes just seeing the scope of what's going on and acknowledging all of them for a moment can, at least we kind of know where we are, and you can say, okay, there are a ton of parts here, or it feels like that, and maybe all I'm able to do is hear a snippet from each of them, but if that's what I can do, then like you said, it's not going to make it worse.
No. And I think one of the things that's happened that's kind of developmental, if you like, is like the distracting part. I used to think that every thought I had came from a different part, or that's what it felt like. But the more that I'm sort of paying attention to it, the more I realize that it's sort of what would you call it? It's one part. There's not as many parts as I thought there were. I can consolidate. That's the word I'm looking for. I can consolidate things. So I think that's a development that I can see happening, is that there's still a lot of parts, still heaps of them, but I can kind of clump them together, or they come in sort of little groups or little families or little And so that's useful. I think that's progress.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to say, like, one thing that I said was that each of these parts makes sense, and I also feel like it makes sense for them all to be there. Not just what each of them says makes sense, but like, yeah, you're going to a family function that is the biggest one maybe ever, and
Yeah.
who wouldn't have tons of parts up about that?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Like,
Yes. Yeah. Like, when else are they going to be there? Like, this is their time. This is their moment.
right.
This is
Yeah.
This is when they get to let me know stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, that can be really rough waters. It can also be an opportunity to see some parts that maybe don't get the stage as much.
Yeah. And there's yes. So there's this thing about, oh shit, it's gone. What was that?
Seeing family, who wouldn't have so many parts?
Yeah, it was something to do with this is when these parts come. Why? Obviously, this is their territory. This is their this is their jam. And then some confusion about what to do with that, what the purpose is. So, like, is the purpose? Oh, yeah. So, some confusion between this is when these parts arrive. So I can use this to work out stuff, as opposed to this is when these parts arrive. So this is my chance to get to know them. Rather than saying, you've come now. Oh, good. You're the bricklayer. I want this brick wall built over here. Oh, good.
Yeah.
You're the plumber. I've got this pipe to fix. Whereas what I got a glimpse of then, something that you said made me glimpse it and say, here's the bricklayer. Why does he like his job? Do you know what? So it's a different
putting them to use versus getting to know them.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
One of the things that always impresses me about you is your ability to bring things down to 5 words that I use 6,000 to describe.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I really appreciate that.
I get what you're saying. My short answer would probably be that it's a both and thing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because they do have a purpose, I guess.
Yeah, and there's that more kind of meta thing I was just talking about where, well, at least know who's at the party inside of you.
Yes.
Maybe I can't put them to use. Maybe I don't lead them very well. Maybe I don't, but at least I can see what's happening.
Yeah. I have an awareness of them now. Whereas before, all I would have been aware of is feeling, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yes. That's progress. Yes, that's progress.
Yeah. And going back to that question, I would probably lean towards, I think getting to know them is probably a higher bar. It's kind of a bigger goal.
Feels like it at the minute.
Yeah. And then their use can be sort of transmuted. The things that they're good at can be streamlined and understood and okay, we've agreed that this thing you're really good at doesn't actually need to be done in this situation. And here's what you really need in this situation. And so it's not discarding, their jobs, and it's not simply harnessing them either. It's more, how can I help?
Yeah.
What are the real needs here? Mm-hmm.
Yes, that feels much more hopeful. The other felt, like back to that old black and white thing. Either all of this or all of that.
Yeah. And when it comes to protectors who have an exile, so often, again, with the consolidating, sometimes there's 7 protectors who are all really just trying to protect an exile. And the thing that exile needs is a hug, and it's kind of like, okay, talk about streamlining. When that's a solution that can solve 7 different problems, or 7 different protectors pulling in different directions. Often that is kind of the goal, or the fruit of the work is, oh, I found this exile. I see why this part's trying to work so hard to prepare for the party, and another part's telling me that just fuck it and you're incompetent. Maybe they're wrestling over the same feelings, the exiled feelings.
Yeah. I'm getting a little bit lost, but I think I'm.
Me too. I said more than 5 words. That's past my quota. Lost myself.
No, the thing that sticks with me in all of that was you found an exile who needs a hug. That's what stuck with me.
Yeah.
That's what. Oh God, and who's back? That's what hit me hard,
Yeah. And I think that sadness, I am assuming that is very tied to an exile. Earlier when that part came up, the sad part came up, and then the other part saying it was a conditioned reflex came up.
Yes.
And it was saying, oh, it's just this. You're talking to James, and someone is paying attention to what's going on in you.
Yeah.
I remember another conversation we had where you mentioned something like that, where, I don't know, maybe one of your cousins or something said that they saw what you were struggling with.
Oh yeah.
When you were, and how that had brought out that same kind of sadness in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm assuming that is, someone else is kind of seeing those exiled parts of you, and they're having that release of feeling seen, feeling cared for, which is typically what they're lacking. And there's sadness and grief around that.
Yeah.
That's all normal. And you can be the one. You can be the one that gets to it. You can be the one that continues seeing those parts in you, seeing and paying attention and caring for what's going on in you. And there will be sadness that comes up around it.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of expected that. I just didn't expect it to be so much.
Yeah.
That's the bit that freaks me out.
Mm-hmm. That it's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done some negotiating with the sad part before.
Have we?
Try again. Yes, to a degree. You can ask it. Ask it not to overwhelm you. We know it's important. We know what it cares about is important, and that it's there for a good reason. And if it gives you...
There's a part of me saying, I'm not sure I believe that.
It's such a strong part.
Yeah. Every fucking time.
Yeah. So there's parts that don't believe that it's there for good reason. There's parts that say every fucking time, this is so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And that might be one reason why the sadness feels the need to be so strong. It's trying to break through these other parts that are sick of it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh. Can you say that again?
That might be one of the reasons that the sadness is so strong, is because it has to push and break through the other parts that are sick of it, that are frustrated by it, that don't even believe that it's there for a good reason or that it has any legitimacy.
Yeah.
And it's saying, I'm not gonna be erased. I can shut this down. I can take over.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And by noticing them and by asking them for space, we can get some of them to kind of lay their weapons down and go to each one individually.
Okay. And that's kind of happened. And now things are moving quite fast at the minute, James. I've lost it again. Lay your weapons down there. Well, some of them have.
Okay.
Some of them keep telling me things. There was something that went past me just a second ago, and it felt important, but I've lost it.
Do you want to just spend a minute listening out for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's something there, and it's not. I just know it's there. I can't. I can't see it properly, but it's there. No, I've lost the threads again.
Okay. You've done great work. You've gotten yourself and your parts in a quiet space or in a park bench.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. I don't want to keep running away from this. Staying around it is really hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that parts at the moment. I don't know if there's any self here or not.
Okay.
It feels very tenuous if it is.
Okay. Well, I'd love to help. I'd love to help with the if it feels like there's running away and there's something that needs your attention, we can find ways to be more methodical about it or more slow and steady kind of working towards it or working with it.
Yeah. I just think that it's sorry about the sniffing.
It's okay.
I just think it's a very well-established system in there,
Yep.
It's been around for 70 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's not terribly flexible. And it just feels like chipping away tiny little flakes. You know what I mean?
Yes. What was it? What was it that you felt like you had been running away from?
Facing into the largeness and the all other words relating to large, big, all those words which I can't grasp at the moment of this sad feeling, like running away from that.
Okay.
And running away from the okay, I think there is parts talking now. Running away from the absurdity of it, of the unreasonableness of it, of the inexplicable of it.
Yeah. Parts just like it's so unreasonable, inexplicable that we should just abandon ship here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Like, what could it possibly be about? What could it possibly?
Yeah. Could be about a lot of things.
Yeah, but there's nothing. It's just it's absurd.
Oh, okay. I don't believe that. I believe, like you said, you have a world in you, and you have parts that are always giving you fresh content to ponder on. You have tons of relationships, and each one has its unique ups and downs, and tons of parts.
Yeah. Sure as shit are.
Yeah.
It's just a really big part of me at the moment saying this business with sadness is so weird and so inexplicable and so
Okay.
that part is standing right in front of me right now.
Okay. Well,
and saying, prove me wrong, prove me fucking wrong, and I can't.
right. And you can't, because you haven't had those conversations with the sadness to really understand what it's about, why it's so strong, and all that. Great.
Yeah.
So this part has a good point.
Yeah.
It's
sure
saying
has.
here it's saying the evidence is this part is inexplicable, and it comes in and it's a tyrant, and it makes no sense, and
yeah,
that's been this part's experience. It's been your system's experience.
Yeah. Washes everything away. That's what that was in that last session, wasn't it? Coming up the beach and washing everything away. Was that the last session? Anyway, yeah.
Okay. Well, part of me wants to offer some suggestions for work that we do in the future.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. I am happy to put the sadness on the docket and make it something that we attempt to go to intentionally, and I can be
wee bit scary, but yeah.
Yes. Well, I have parts that are also scared about that.
Yeah.
Because you and I love talking, and there's and I do love hearing from all of these parts, and we could go to any of them, and it could be really valuable.
Yeah.
So when I think about making that, an objective, and yeah, I have some scared parts around that too.
There might be some steps along the way.
I assume so.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to brainstorming about that, and I would like to do that and offer some suggestions. Maybe I'll text you in the meantime. I know we have another call scheduled. And
that would be really useful, actually.
Talk about ideas around that, and I can kind of take some ownership of pointing us there. And I can bring it up, and if we don't want to go there, we don't go there. But
yes. So the reason I scheduled these two calls quite close to each other was that this was the one before the big family event, and then the following one is going to be the one that comes after it. So, our date with sadness might have to take a detour to deal with.
Okay.
Whatever happened in between, but no, that sounds really good, James, and I appreciate. I feel like that we can work as a team here. Like I don't have to be fully responsible, but I don't have to hand over responsibility either. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope that makes. I hope. I mean, that feels good to me. So I guess I'm hoping that. Oh, good. Right. Yeah. Like you don't have to be fully responsible. Like this has to be. Well, you can't be really, I guess. But
I can't. But I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm just setting an intention to prioritize it.
Yeah.
And like all plans, we can change them if we want to.
Yes, entirely. But I do appreciate having someone there to do it with, because
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm not sure. I know I wouldn't have done it by myself. So,
Well, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
okie dokie.
Yeah. And if you need another out when you're with some people, you can let them know that you need to go text your IFS buddy.
That'd go down like a cup of hot thick. But yes, absolutely.
Well, feel free to. I'll try to keep an eye out. Do you want to tell me the date of the event? I'll turn on my my notifications there.
This Friday coming, which I
Okay.
believe will be your Thursday. Is that right? Am I the right way around? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes,
I'll
I'm
go
in the
figure it
future.
out. Okay.
Yeah. So my Friday, 10 to 11 a.m.
Okay.
All right, James. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Talk soon.
Okay. All right. Talk to you later.
Have a good rest of your day.
You could give me would be great. Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm babbling.
Great. It's fine.
Doing
Have a
my
good
usual from the ending thing. Yeah. Same
It's
to
all
you.
good. It's all good. All right.
Okay. Right.
Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. You too. Bye-bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.